Hey guys, Hey Dragon here, back with yet another Hunter x Hunter video, and this video is very special. This is because this will be the first ever Welfin Hunter x Hunter character analysis video on YouTube. And Welfin is a very interesting character. He's very pertinent to the story of Hunter x Hunter, into the whole aspect morally and philosophically of Chimera Ants as a whole. But he is a very rich character with a very interesting set of developments throughout the story. So I'll be covering his backstory, what he has come to as a character, what themes and what emotions Togashi is trying to bring out of us with his character, and then overall what I think of him. Welfin is very niche, but he's also a very loved character. Some people think he is one of the greatest additions to the Chimera Ant arc, and others are very, iffy on him. So I will make my case for why Welfin is one of the best characters, not only in the Chimera Ant arc, but in Hunter x Hunter as a whole. To cover Welfin, we need to go back in time, to another lifetime in fact, and this is where Zekyle was born. In Zekyle, he was born to an abusive family, a family of drug consumers and drug addicts, which were very domestically violent towards him. He had no sense of love in his life, and he was someone that was in constant fear and anxiety. He would lie to himself and not trust himself, just due to this instinct of not having anywhere he could feel safe or at home. This was until he managed to escape and he found himself meeting up with Gyro. Gyro, a man who'd lost everything, a man that had absolute hatred for the world, this absolutely cynical character of darkness, was a shoulder for him to lean on. Gyro understood Zekyle. He understood the lack of love he had in his heart and his anxiety, and it's from their banter and their ability to understand each other through their own lens of their worldviews that they grew empathetic towards each other. There is a very interesting quote which says, "My castle of dirt." And that's really what I think of when I think of Zekyle and of Gyro. They're two people that are using their trauma, their hardships, as a means to bond with each other, arguing over who's been through worse than each other. And it's through this bond that they grew that what Zekyle initially isn't a bad person. His attachment to Gyro led him to do things that he himself doesn't really believe is morally right. He became part of the NGL under the wing of Gyro, and with him, they started distributing guns and drugs. As Gyro's empire grew, as did his relationship with Zekyle, they became very literal brothers. They were close in every aspect, having Gyro's goal inadvertently become Zekyle's. And there, as was a Calgo, they were all a close bond in the epicenter of the NGL leadership. Everything was flourishing, everything was perfect to the minute details, until it all changed, until the ants came. A massacre, a genocide of the NGL members, as they were all torn apart and killed savagely. In the last resistance, there was Zekyle, a Calgo, and Gyro amongst their close circle, fighting off these monsters. And the most horrific part is that they all got killed and fed to the queen. And in their rebirth, they remember that sensation, the fear of dying. One other trauma on a list of many. And for Zekyle in particular, now known as Welfin in this new life and identity, the thing that he found so horrible is that the first thing he remembered was his trauma as a human. His dad strangling him, both his parents on drugs, and the feeling of not being loved. He had hoped, he saw this as a moment of peace when he finally died, thinking that maybe you could forget those memories. That's the first thing that he is reminded of. And that is when he is born as a different chimera ant. And we saw a mirror parallel of that with Gyro, where both of them have such strong traumas that it's actually stronger than their own individuality, to the point that they can embrace who they were the moment they're born back as ants. And it's through this that Welfin adapts the personality traits of Zekile. Welfin has this Nen ability which completely reflects his trauma, his personality, and his fear. Welfin's Nen ability is based on lies, based on lying and getting his enemy to tell him the real truth. If he tells the truth, his ability is undone. And what this ability is just a trauma response. He wants to flip the power scripts. All throughout his life, he'd been the one that had been abused. He'd been the victim, and finally when he thought he'd escaped, it was all taken away from him by the Chimera Ants. This is the ultimate form of rebellion, of revenge. This time, I'm the one that dictates my own terms. I will lie and you will tell the truth. It's a role reversal. It's minus and plus, male and female. It's this aspect of just equivalent exchange. And he wants to put himself in the favorable position. But yet, the same aspect, the same power and strength for him is what led him to vulnerability against the Calgo. He wasn't this strong, brash source of individual strength that he wanted to be, and the worst part is that he knows it all too well. All throughout the Powerless Invasion, Welfin is doubting himself. He keeps finding answers and solutions, but yes, whilst on the precipice, he says, no, I need more. I need more reassurance to know that this is actually the truth. In the end, Welfin is loyal. Welfin has the loyalty to try to have hope. He has the loyalty to Gyro. He had the loyalty to the ants, just having had that mutual baseline exchange with them. And he had the loyalty to do what he thought was follow the truth. So he went out of his way to find it, and that led him to a Calgo. A Calgo also fueled by loyalty, but they are quite contrasting people. The Calgo is fueled by bravery, and Welfin is fueled by fear. It's in this exchange that the Calgo realizes Welfin's Nen ability, and he takes full advantage of it. And Welfin, whilst overwhelmed by fear, had nowhere to run. He had to stay there and confront the pain. A Calgo was being merciful, and he needed to give him the reason to be. That being to tell the truth, to be honest, and to reaffirm a Calgo's suspicions. They had once been friends in this past life, and the Calgo realized that and gave him a way out. Gave him the ability to put all the pieces together. This was never Gyro's will. This was never Zekiel's will. This was a compromise that was created on fear. The Chimera Ants aren't Welfin's friends. Regardless about him being one of them, he doesn't have that sovereign connection to them. And in the end, even King Meruem, the king of the ants, came to that same conclusion that the ants were going to just do nothing but cause mayhem and destruction. And whilst humanity is evil and capable of far worse, they are also capable of far better. So Welfin chooses. He chooses Zekiel over this new identity. And it's something where it's very, very powerful, because we see Welfin really get broken down emotionally. He is coming to this realization that he's lost, he's hurt, and he is really miserable. And it's something that he'd always been running away from. He latches onto things that he sees as a sense of security. Before, it was escaping his parents, then it was Gyro, and now it's following the orders of Neferpito. But finally, he broke through and did what he wanted, and he gave a Calgo the location of Palm. until Puff pressed him and he fell back again. And in that guilt, he was there, open and a white canvas to be painted by a cowgirl. This was his moment of deity. He needed the clarity. He was completely lost and void of life and purpose. And the cowgirl says to him, "They are our enemies. The ants are enemies of the NGL. They are Gyro's enemies. We will serve our king Gyro." And this is the very powerful ignition of flames within the very essence, the very bedrock of the soul of Welfin, as him and the cowgirl bond over that past loyalty towards their friends. And Welfin is fueled with a new purpose. His overall fear had been wiped out. He knows that not serving that purpose now is worse than any consequence that's ever happened to him. He's already died. He's already suffered. He has nothing left to lose. And what he's going to do is he's going to stop thinking about it himself, and he's just going to do what he has to do. This is his mission. And it's as he confronts Yuppie, one of these majestic figures, a royal god, a being almost like a god, someone that Welfin has no chance of beating. Welfin is consumed by his patriotism, by his loyalty to the king, by his feelings of personal identity. He is an extension of Gyro, and he will not let Gyro be taken out like he was. And then he prepares Missile Man to fire on Yuppie, and Yuppie falls dead. Welfin sees that as a sign from God, the divinity itself, that he is meant to be on this path, that he is meant to take out the King Meruem. And that's when it's the ultimate test. Fear incarnate against a being that is quite literally the most godly figure in Hunter x Hunter. King Meruem post-rose at the absolute peak of his majestic abilities, fiending for Welfin's blood, for Welfin's bones, to chew on and become more powerful. This is that moment repeating itself. This is Zekau being fed to the queen, and it's happening again. This is his second death. This is his moment. And Welfin realizes it. Then that moment ages 100 years. This is the toll that goes to his body. He knows he has to get himself out of there, and he is so scared it ages him. But he is so brave now due to this clarity given by a cowgirl, this different perspective on life that he's willing to risk it all. Komugi. The one word that had been floating around and he hadn't understood. Normally he's someone that likes to make sure and double check, but here he was willing to throw apart that aspect of himself. He tossed it to the side so that he could live. And it's in that moment that Meruem thanks him and walks away. It's been completed. Welfin has gone through this character arc from timid, scared, to brave and strong. But it's not enough for him. He hasn't made it clear what is conviction and what lies in his heart. Gyro is the only man that I'll ever call king, he declares to the most powerful being in the Hunter x Hunter universe. Without fear, with absolute conviction, he drops the things he was holding. Everything stops in this world. All the crescendo of life and of the future, past and present, is obliterated in this very moment where time and space itself stops. Where Welfin, after this near-death encounter, explodes with what he truly feels. No matter what happened in this exchange or encounter, this is the first time he's ever been fully loyal and ever fully told the truth to himself. He'd always been ready for other people. He is a good guy. but he never given himself the benefit of the doubt to bet on himself and to really show himself some love. Afterwards, when we see Welfin, he's a different person, you know. He's filled with joy, patience, and an attitude of appreciation. There's, lots of quotes that now he's just, sort of bypassing, all his past traumas, and he's going straight towards the good memories. He's, telling everyone about Gyro's expressions, don't die until you're dead, saying, we're gonna find Gyro. He's got a beer in his hand, he's, sipping the beer. He's saying, hey, everyone, come with me, come with the caravan, we're going to meet your city to find Gyro. He's got this positivity that they will find it. And it's completely polar in contrast to how he was before, because before he would have said, okay, what are the chances that? But no, he's not doing any of that. The analytics are out the window, as is everything that was previously Welfin. And that's reflected in his new appearance and how he's aged, but how he's actually become happy. And it's a very age-old adage that every single time a door closes, a window opens. Every L isn't an L, it's a lesson. It's that very concept incarnate. We've seen that he himself physically has suffered so that he himself mentally has been freed. He is almost an enlightened figure in the same sense that Meruem has been, in the sense that in Buddhism, the Buddha is portrayed as this figure that's gone past these, not puny, because everything has importance, but these lesser important worries of human beings, and is now focused on what's important. Welfin is focused on saying hello to his friend once again. In the end, there's nothing really more to his life than to go back and spend those moments with Gyro. He wants to help Gyro the way that Gyro helps him. He wants to show Gyro the way out and the freedom, and he's assembled his own squad to go and find Gyro, which is quite wholesome and also very fulfilling. It really feels like a very satisfying, not conclusion, but a very satisfying termination to this plot line within this arc. And this comes to what Togashi wants to show us about Welfin. He wants Welfin to be a representation of our fears and our anxieties. In the end, Welfin is portrayed like all mental conditions of humans. Illnesses, self-doubt, a lack of self-esteem, they eat away at you as Welfin eats away at himself. And it's only in that embracefulness and focus on the positivity and of what really moves his heart that he was able to find peace. And Welfin isn't better. Welfin still suffers. Welfin actually suffered a lot. He is now closer to his deathbed. He is now very much an old man in every shape, way, or form. He lost his youth, but that's not what matters. What matters is in here. And that's what Togashi wanted to show us. In fact, there's 4 segments of the finale of the Chimera Ant arc which reaffirm this opinion that I have. Because those 4 moments are Meruem and Komugi coming to each other and finding their last moments together. Then afterwards it's Reina being reunited with her mom. And then afterwards it's the reveal that the real king of East Gorto has been living by himself in the wilderness, just enjoying the moments of life. So all of those show a rejection of the material world. It's a very beautiful way to look at life, but it's also a very difficult one. In all of those instances, there's been a journey that's led up to this moment, and you know that it had to have happened. If not, they wouldn't be able to appreciate where they were. It's only because Welfin spiraled so far that he was so emotionally vulnerable, a cowgirl could go and best him, that he was able to come to the realizations that he did. Welfin is humanity. He is his insecurities and fear placed in a different context. And he is a roadmap to finding yourself. So, what do I think of Welfin? I think Welfin is one of the best characters in Hunter x Hunter. It's very hard to, say just how much I like him or compare him to all the other amazing characters, but I'd say he's at least in the 30 best characters in Hunter x Hunter. And there's hundreds of great characters in Hunter x Hunter, so to have him in such a high placement really is a testament to how much I admire, how much I appreciate, and how much I view Welfin as this very complete and very fulfilling character arc. This was Hadrigon. Hope you enjoyed. I do videos every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. So if you love Hunter x Hunter, please be sure to like, subscribe, comment what you think, any suggestions, and turn on the notification bell so that you don't miss another Hunter x Hunter video. This was Hadrigon. I hope you're all having an incredible day. Peace out. Oh yeah, as Gyro says, don't die until you're dead. Yeah, that was a bit cringe, but yeah, have a good one, everyone.